This might be the most practically important knowledge you gain in your lifetime. How to get thrown out of an Uber, or off Uber altogether, or what rules Uber drivers must follow in order to stay Uber drivers. Here we go. According to the new standards put out by Uber, this is how riders get banned. By A, damaging property. Next, physical contact with the driver or other riders, inappropriate and abusive language or gestures, unwanted contact after the trip, as in trying to get the number of the Uber driver and or someone that you're riding with
Not
and
just
contact
physical
them.
contact.
Yeah, like long-term attempts at communication. Breaking the law while using Uber. That includes if you're in a place that doesn't allow open containers, bringing the containers of alcohol into the car, doing drugs while in the car that are illegal in the local area, firearms, whether it's legal around there or not.
Yes.
How do you and then discrimination? How do you feel about these so far, John?
I mean, I think a lot of them should be common sense. I get why they have to do the drug and the alcohol thing. I think a lot of people think with Uber, just everything goes. I'm not driving, so let's have fun. But of course, it's still just a car. It's still just a car ride. I get the firearms thing, obviously. I mean, there's some stuff where it could be a little bit ambiguous, but I'm glad that they're saying you can't, like, you shouldn't be trying to hit on or pick up either the driver or the passenger.
Yes.
And I'm sure that has to happen all the time.
Well, they're at work.
I remember somebody made a joke on Twitter. They were like, early on in the internet, you learn two things. Back in the 90s, there's two things you don't do with the internet and in life. You don't get in a car with strangers, and you don't meet people on the internet. But now you use an app to meet someone on the internet that you can get into their car that you don't know.
Oh, that's so
and it's
right.
like we've inverted everything, and generally it seems like it works 99.9% of the time.
Right.
But there are people who would abuse it.
In many ways, and I keep rotating towards you, but it's just
rotating
because
too.
of these chairs. In many ways, it's great because it should give us a more confidence in humanity in general. That we're able to not get killed most of the time when we do this.
That's true.
If you're wondering if you're a driver or you're wondering what rules the driver has to abide by in order not to get banned from Uber, here you go. No physical contact, no inappropriate or abusive language or gestures, unwanted contact after the trip is over, so reaching out, and this has happened to people I know, John.
I had someone get followed a little bit.
Oh, so creepy. And they're dropping you off at your house.
Yeah.
That's why you should get dropped off down the road and then disappear. So they just know which neighborhood so they can wait till you go for a jog.
News broke that Uber now will, if you don't opt out, it will track your location data for up to 5 minutes after you've been dropped off. And they give explanations as to why it is. You can agree with those or disagree.
What are they?
It's like it's to optimize routes and where future something blah, blah, blah.
Horseshit. It wants to see what business you're going into
That's possible.
so they can sell that behavioral information.
Probably.
Okay, then next, breaking the law while using Uber. So that is
Speeding and stuff like that, yeah.
Yes. Also, you can't tell them to speed. Don't tell them to speed.
Yeah.
Or you can tell them, but if they do, then you get kicked off because you told them to speed. Using drugs or alcohol whatsoever makes sense. Inaccurate personal information. So if it says that it's a Honda Civic, license plate, good vibes, and it shows up and it's not a Honda Civic with license plate good vibes, they can be disbarred. Mm-hmm. Failed background checks. They're doing background checks.
That's good.
Firearms and unsafe driving.
Good. Yeah, it should just be a regular drive. I did have one guy who was my Uber driver who said that he used to live in Miami, and he wants to go back there because in LA, they're Nazis about drunk driving. And he was driving, he's literally driving me right then.
Now, a lot of this also feeds into their rating, their 5-star or less rating. If someone says that to you, what do you do as a rider?
What do you mean?
For me, I'll have bad experiences riding, but by the time I get out of the car and I look and it's 5 stars or 3 stars, it smelled like the inside of a fart in there. And the guy was driving. He's not a good driver.
Yeah.
But I still go
I usually go 5 stars.
oh, 5 stars.
Because I'm a nice person. Because
this is that person's livelihood, and they're not. Maybe I'm just being a little moody and drunk.
Can I add a couple of things that I think should be required?
Ladies and gentlemen, top 5 things.
Oh, 5.
Top. How many?
There are some things that I think.
How many?
3. I don't
Top 3 things John Iadarola thinks should get you banned from Uber.
know.
Number
Not
3.
banned, but
Number 3.
disciplinary action. 1, move up the passenger side front seat. You know people are going to go back there. Why would you leave it back? I have long legs. There's no reason why you can't. If you move it up, it's like having the exit row on a plane. It's so nice. It's super easy for you to do. You should do it. 2.
Let me finish. Number 2 thing John Iadarola thinks should get you banned from Uber.
Number 2, don't talk to me. No,
Shut
that
the
sounds bad, and I know some people are different. But by the way, I have had good conversations in Uber that I didn't start. They started and they ended up being good. I've met cool people, had cool experiences. But I'm sure you've had that experience where they're like, hey, where are you coming from? And you answer, and then it's quiet, and 10 seconds go by, and then they're like, so what you doing later today? And you're like, it doesn't matter how many times I stop this conversation, it's gonna keep going. And something about Uber attracts people who are just so enthusiastic about people, and they just want to meet people.
I've always
but
wanted
I just
to
want to go
drive a
somewhere.
cab.
I'm not going to a social club. I just want to drive.
No, I get it.
That's my problem, not yours.
And the number 1 reason John Iadarola thinks people should be banned from Uber is...
I mean...
The number 1 thing...
Starting political conversations bothers me too, but no. I really like it when they offer either water or food. I almost never actually take it, but it's nice that it's there.
Be rich and afford
It's not
candy.
Rich. It's like yeah. Anyway, I don't often take it, but it is a nice. It shows that they're trying to do it. And I will say overall, I feel like Uber drivers are some of the nicest people in the country generally.
Yeah,
they like people. They're willing to work for a long time. They're willing to do something everybody hates, which is drive. They're amazing people.
And they say if you're drunk, don't be too drunk. I think a lot of it's courtesy, but these are the things that they say specifically. And then I had this curiosity, which is what if there's a driver and they got disbarred for whatever reason? How do they get back? How do they get their stars back? And they did put on Uber.com some of the ways, 2 of the ways. One is third-party quality improvement courses.
Oh, so there are courses.
So there are courses in most cities, and now they're trying to find online courses in case you're an Uber driver in a city that doesn't have a low-cost place to go. So that's good. And then the other thing, they're looking into creating an appeals process for drivers to use. That's a huge part of Uber because those are their employees and their bread and butter.
For now, yeah.
For now.
The whole 2-hour podcast of the Young Turks, commercial-free.
You're gonna get it.
If you become a member, tytnetwork.com/join.